Thank you for taking the time to participate in active trance. And since you've chosen to get addicted to walking, you just might discover something within. Before you begin this wonderful experience, if you can notice the tempo of this music, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. Take a deep breath in and a relaxing breath out. Perfect. Now wonder if you can notice the air touching your skin, your feet connecting with their environment, your shoulders relaxing. As you go deeper into this experience, and I'm curious if you've noticed you've slowed down your breathing without me asking that of you. That's how special you are. I don't know the last time you gave yourself permission to go and take a hike away from the world's baloney. Thank you for being here. You make the world a better place. I don't know if you're beginning to feel more aware or alert, but what I do know is you're mastering active trance now. Now, I'm not sure you're aware how special you are. Many people believe once upon a time, a million miles away from here, a star exploded and its star stuff floated across the galaxy through high wind. And some star stuff landed on the planets, some on the moon, and some here on planet Earth. So maybe you're made of star stuff, or at least have a twinkle in your eye. And in the past, maybe you've just accepted not walking enough, or not feeling okay with how things were, or something else. But anyone in your situation would understand. The good news is, there's a process to it. And in a moment, I'm going to share with you a few stories. And at first you might be thinking, why am I going to share with you these stories? But your subconscious mind will be listening and do something wonderful for you a little later on. Now, I don't know if you can remember a time when you really wanted something. Now, I don't know if it was what you wanted for Christmas or your birthday, or something simple like wanting to stay up late or eat ice cream, and you got it, that satisfied feeling. I don't know if you felt complete, freedom, liberty, pleasure. And the number pi shows up in Bach's Mass in B minor. Now eyes see an object in the retinal field by suppressing receptivity to another part of the retinal field in the perfect pi ratio of 62% to 38%. And the golden mean for walking is 29 4-beat measures, which is 116 beats per minute. And if you were to decide to walk at this exact tempo now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, for 5 kilometers, the golden mean for resting to walking is to rest for 1.9 kilometers. Walk at 3 kilometers. And just like a forward and back swing in tennis or golf, if the forward swing is too fast, the golden mean is broken. And they've done studies and found out through a lot of research that human beings are indeed biped creatures. And these 2 hunks of flesh that hang down from the trunk are meant to carry us around. We're supposed to actually use them. That's what the research showed. And research shows you can extend your life. If you walk for 45 minutes 4 times per week. And guess what? If you do it more days, it just extends it further. Maybe you've seen Leonardo da Vinci's Virtuoso Man in perfect proportion. Maybe you don't really know how perfect you are. The measurement from your feet to knees to hips is the Fibonacci sequence. Your finger joints, perfect Fibonacci sequence, 0, 1, 2, 3. And this is true for all walks of life. A man might have walked on the moon, but a wise man once said, sometimes people are beautiful, not in looks, not in what they say, just in what they are. The men have walked the earth in search of meaning. And in Bill Bryson's book, A Short History of Nearly Everything, if you had to select the least convivial scientific field trip of all time, you can't beat the French Royal Academy of Sciences Peruvian expedition of 1735. And at the time, people had wanted to understand about the Earth, how old it was, how big it was, where it hung in space. And their goal was to measure the distance around the planet by measuring a long line from one end of Ecuador to the other, 320 kilometres. And almost as it started, it went wrong. They were chased out by locals with stones. One of the doctors was murdered in a misunderstanding. A botanist became deranged. Others caught fever. And at one point they had to suspend work for 8 months. Everywhere the deepest suspicion. Why would the French travel halfway around the world to measure the world? But it would be Isaac Newton, a prickly figure, who upon swinging his feet out of his bed in the morning would sometimes sit immobilised for hours by the rush of thoughts to his head. And he knew the distance of the Earth relative to other planets and the Sun could be calculated during the transit of Venus. But the transit of Venus would come at an irregular occurrence, 8 years apart, then absent for a century or more. And when the time was right, scientists set off to hundreds of locations: Siberia, China, South Africa, Indonesia, Wisconsin, Sweden, Russia, Italy, Germany. Observers were waylaid by war or sickness, shipwrecks, or others found their equipment was broken on arrival. Scientists' equipment was blamed for starting floods and were chased out of villages. And for those in India, just as Venus began to pass, a cloud slid in front of the sun. And there were hurricanes off the coast of Africa, but it turns out Yorkshire-born sea captain James Cook watched the transit of Venus from a sunny hilltop in Tahiti, and then went on to chart and claim Australia. And there was just enough information for the French to calculate the distance from the Earth to the Sun at 149.5 million kilometres. And today we know the precise location is 149.5978700691 million kilometres. And meanwhile, France was determining the Earth's circumference, and after 2 years of using a method of triangulation, trundling across France, they measured 1 degree of an arc, 110.46 kilometres. But Isaac Newton said the Earth wasn't a perfect sphere, and this was a source of pride for the French. They decided to choose the Andes to measure the equator, to determine if there was sphericity there. And the mountains in Peru were often lost in cloud, and scientists had to wait weeks in order to survey them. They had to climb mountains, cross wild rivers, hack their way through jungle. And the other half of the team was in Scandinavia, and they found a degree was longer near the poles, as Isaac Newton had promised, and it would be 30 years until research was resurrected in England by Neville Maskelyne, the astronomer royal. But a wise man once said, there are no shortcuts to any place worth going. Maybe in the past you've found yourself down the pub on Friday, or staying in for takeaway or something else. And I wonder in the future if you might find yourself at the very last minute changing your mind to go for a walk instead. Because if you are going to get serious about becoming a walking addict, you need to begin some serious emotional negotiating conversations with yourself. And I don't know if it will be. You said you wouldn't go for a walk. You promised everyone you wouldn't walk anymore. And then you think, stuff it, and go for a walk. Or if you'll wake up in the morning and think, is it too early to do it, to go for a walk now? Shouldn't I wait until the afternoon? Like a sensible person, sod it and go for a walk anyway. Or maybe have a feeling or a pure thirst for walking. You think, I just went for a walk this morning. Surely I don't need to go for another one this afternoon. And before you notice it, you're out walking, out the front door. In fact, what some people love about beginning to become addicted to walking 4 times per week is the more uncertain the world becomes, the more certain they feel about walking. And I'm curious how that feels. Certain you are a serious walker now. And you can allow yourself to feel ever present. And in a moment, I want you to imagine walking. Notice how mindful you feel. And I don't know if you can smell the air, feel the wind on your cheek, fall in love with life on a different level. But what I do know is you can look back at the old version of you that might have accepted the way things were, how things might have been. In fact, the new you is different somehow, isn't it? And if you can, take a moment to allow the tempo of the music to fill you up now. Don't change your stride or posture. You're perfect, just as you are. And I don't know if you'll like more songs at this tempo. Start cleaning the house at this tempo. Or just love how necessary walking is for your life now. When you finally get what you wanted, that satisfied feeling, you feel complete, freedom, liberty, pleasure. And when you're ready to return back to your tranquil world, you can. Thank you for mastering active trance. You're perfect, just as you are.